let's do the mouse wheel and let's make this into a shell. So we will first try to do the recess here, and then we will use the wheel to cut out from this shell that we of course also need to do. Another thing we need to do is the starting of these screw towers. So let's jump to Solidworks. So we have this solid body here. On the right side here I would like to add this wheel recess. So I need a plane here to make a cut on, or a sketch for the cut. So let's just control drag and position this maybe a little bit further forward, so 85 millimeters. We could tweak this later. So for the moment we have made a plane. Let's go for revolved cut. And now we're inside a sketch here. We should go flat, spacebar, normal 2. And let's widen the work space here a little bit. So we don't need that panel for now. Let's move in a center line. That will help us to align stuff. Okay, escape and go for a conic shape here. You could also choose an elliptic shape and then just cut it off. So we could go for that and use my favorite tool, the power trim. So something like that, something like that. And then of course we could add in some dimensioning here. But let me first make a line there. Okay, this popped up again. I wonder why. Go away. Power trim. So trim entities, power trim is the default. Just go straight through there. And now I accidentally burned through the center line as well, but let it be like that and accept this. So I think we're fine. We should be able to use this line as a revolve, an axis for revolution. So accept that sketch, and now we need this axis of revolution. So in the blue window here I just add that one as an axis, and we get a preview there. And now we can see how far, how deep in it goes, and it seems pretty deep, but we accept this. And now we can see the recess that we got. Maybe a little bit too deep there, so maybe we should adjust the values of this one. Maybe we could just bring it up a little bit. So let's go into the sketch again. So I go for cut revolve, expand that one, right click and choose edit sketch. And we could even put in a dimension from the 0 point there, so it's easier to adjust later on. So if I go from 26 to 30, maybe we push it up. We could also take the opportunity here to add a dimension for the wide, how wide this recess will be. So let's go for 15 there and accept. So let's add a dimension from that line to that, and then we have the radius. So here we could possibly make it a little bit smaller, so let's say 16. Okay, so we go out from the sketch, and now we have changed the recess a little bit, so maybe that is a little bit better. I will leave it by that. We could add a fillet to smooth the edge there. Wow, that is a big radius. Let's bring it down to something not that big. Okay, so I just lost the panel there. Bring it out again. And we need to go from 10 maybe to 1 millimeter. Accept that one. And now I have a recess there. So we could make this into a shell now. Right now this is a solid body here. If we choose a cross section here, we could move through here and see that it's just a solid thing. So if we cancel the cross section, I think we could try to do a shell here, but there is a smart thing to do, and that is to start the positions for the screw towers, because when we do the shell we will get some help if we have done that. So underneath here we will put in 3 different screw holes. The plane here could be hidden, so I just right click and say goodbye to that one. So right here I would like to drill a few holes. So I go for drilling, extruded cut. I will choose this surface here as a plane. That means I make a relationship there. Look at the corner, we're inside a sketch, so let's go flat. And I will get some help of a center line here. So just make a center line and escape. And now I could make a hole down here. Oh, wait a moment. We have the recess here and the wheel, so we will have a wheel here, so we can't have a screw tower right there. So maybe a little bit further forward, so maybe somewhere around there. We could change this later on, but for now that is good. And I would like to have one more down there and one more just about. Let's go flat. I go for normal direction, it's a little bit easier. So I slide up here, you see the dotted line somewhere like that. All of these should be the same size, so if I shift click them all we could force them to be equal. So I choose equal, and now we also got that equal sign everywhere. Let's add a dimension for these holes, and I'm going just for a tiny little 4mm hole there, tiny small screws. So I will accept this. We could have added more dimensions here, of course. One important thing though that I almost forgot is this should of course be symmetrical. So to make this symmetrical, I zoom in and pick that one. I shift click that one. You can see how the points are added there, and then I shift click a center line. That should give us symmetric as a possibility here, as a constraint. So now if I push symmetric, we should see that these are adjusted a little bit. Yep, and now they are exactly symmetrical. So if I move one of these, the other should be able to follow. So you can see that we can move this around. Okay, that's good. For now, I'm happy with that. We go out from the sketch, and we have a suggestion here to cut in here. So we could choose a depth here, maybe not 10mm. Let's just go for, let's say 3mm. Or maybe we could go for 4mm as well. So because I would like to add a chamfer. So if I do that, we could also add a chamfer here. So we could have screws that just sink in and doesn't stick out anything from the bottom surface. So a chamfer is just a near fillet. So I go for chamfer, and we need a tiny little chamfer there. So maybe just 1mm chamfer. Let's see if it works. So I click on the edge there, the edge there, and the edge there. Yeah, maybe a little bit bigger. So how about 2mm? I think that is perfect. So now we should be able to have a screw head that goes into that recess there. Okay, it's still a solid thing that we have here. So if I choose the cross section, we can see that everything is blue there inside. It's just filled volume, a solid body. Okay, if I now choose to make this into a shell. Let's see what happens. I go for the shell command, and we need to find it, and you have it right here in the middle of the screen. Shell. 10mm thickness is a little bit too much, so maybe 1.5 or maybe 2mm. Let's go for 2mm thickness. In this area here, we need to choose the faces that should be removed. In this case, I don't want anything to be removed actually, so I will just let it be. And if you choose accept here, it seems like it did something. It's really difficult to see, so let's try the cross-section tool. Yeah, look at that. Now we have made this into a shell here, and you could also see that what happened here is that it started to make like a screw tower here that we could maybe continue all the way up, or actually the opposite, from the top surface and down, but that will be later. So for now I'm really happy with this result. We have a shell